Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about the bridge amplifier. The bridge amplifier is probably the amplifier I need the most updates for in terms of my previous videos, right? So yeah, that's why I chose with the bridge, and it's going to be kind of the same build where I'm going to path most of the husks over here instead of all the husks, and then there's going to be a little tiny bit of husks that are going to come from the north side, which I'm going to recycle over there. Alright, and so far this has been working very effectively. It's been working really good, and I'm really happy with the results of it. And it's kind of expensive, but it's not crazy expensive. Alright, so yeah. And as well, there's going to be a little amp design over here, which is going to help dance the mini bosses, right? Because, you know, I'm kind of a fan of dancing the mini bosses. And just keep in mind that dancing mini bosses are not as reliable for multiple bosses, right? So if there's multiple bosses, I'd highly recommend just to do the traditional methods and poke them into the lava, or, you know, poke them into the lava. All right. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to build this from scratch, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and go do a little overview over here. They're going to spawn over here. There is a spawn over there, and there's a very rare spawn over here. All right, and keep in mind of this very rare spawn. And because of the existence of this very rare spawn, it's really hard to try to path all the husks into the north side over here, right? Because I know there's some previous builds that path them on the north side over here. So because of that rare spawn, it's hard to do that. Okay, so that's why it's really unavoidable to try to path them either in the middle over here, right? Or try to path them doing a split pathway over here, right? And this is a split pathway I'm doing, and this is really really interesting because there's not really that much you need to put over here, right? As you can see over here on the split pathway on the north side, there's not a lot that I put over here, right? There's not a whole lot, but it's just enough to where we can recycle them. The smashers will get recycled from these two tiles over here, and the other husks will get recycled before the smashers. I mean, that's pretty much the end goal of it. If there's one husk that comes up here, then they're going to be floor launched. Okay, and another thing to note as well with this north spawn over here is that I have this half floor over here, and this purpose of this half floor is to encourage less husks to path over here, because not all the husks can path on the half floor like this, right? They can path on the double half floors, right? So I use double half floors like this with only just a smidgen of exposed half floor like this, and that's okay. This is okay pathing. However, when it comes to this, right, there's certain husks that will not agree to path on here. Right, and that's why I'm doing this, so that less husks are going to be going over here, but the smashers can path over here, which is the most important part, right? Which I don't want a smasher being on this block off to get to the amplifier. All right, so that's the purpose of that half floor over there, right? Just to encourage less husks to come over here, while still having the smashers path here, which is awesome. All right, and along this pathway, I'm just going to spam it with tons and tons of anti-air traps, which is awesome because I love anti-airs. And we have a wall over here with the with some amp design, right? And these walls over here, that wall and this wall, is to encourage the mini boss. So if there's a mini boss coming from the north side over here, and then they can actually start dancing on this amp design path over here, right? Because the target that they want to go for is this danger spot, right? So they're going to start glitching over here, back and forth, right? And I did have a teleport, right? So it did have a case where the mini boss teleported, but they instantly died after a teleport. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it's okay. But even in the event that they come from the north side, it is very rare, right? It is very rare for them to come to the north side. Most of the time, they're going to be coming through the middle over here, or the very south, right? And this kind of tunneling system is going to be very minimal. Very, very minimal. Most of the husks are going to be coming from this side over here on the target area, so you could, if you want to, add additional traps over here. As you can see with my structure count, I am kind of lacking some structures, right? And that is because certain designs I have are kind of expensive, such as the Valley Amplifier. Alright, but it's up to you exactly which ones you, what kind of tiles you want to use, right? Where you want to use them. Alright, my videos are not necessarily always an exact copy paste. It's more of a guideline to help you as well. Okay, but yeah, I think that's overall the the basics of this design, right? There's going to be a split pathing from the south over here. There's going to be a design over there on the north side. And there's also going to be, which I think I should go over just a little bit, this open area over here. Now, if you had blocked this off, you know, if you block this off all the way over here, right, you can do that, right? And you don't need lava shield over that. The only thing is that you need to not use my design, which is camping on the valley, right? Because what I do for all my builds is camp. Right? I camp on the very back of the valley amplifier, go very far back, and AFK, right? So if you're going to do that, you need to have this space open because the assassin husk will want to path in this area, right? And that's why I have the lava shield. Alright, so let's go ahead and just destroy everything here. Okay, just gonna remove this and start whacking. Alright, let's whack. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we have a naked bridge, right? We have a naked bridge and we're going to start building from scratch. Alright, now normally I start with the tunnel design, right? But I already explained exactly how the tunneling is going to be like, right? So right now I'm actually going to do the amplifier design first, right? So the amplifier design over here, right? We're going to note that this is where they're going to be coming from, right? So I'm going to path them over here, right, on this wooden tile, and I'm going to start building the design. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is do this over here, right? And this is going to prevent them from coming over here, right? It's going to prevent them from coming over here, right? And then I'm going to block that around here. All right, so this is going to act as an additional layer. And I'm going to do this all the way around. Actually, no, not those two. Yeah, I think those two over there. So this is the design so far. I have 4 structures on the amplifier. Alright, I'm going to put a rooftop on here to prevent the AI going bonkers. And then I'm just going to put a couple anti-airs, right? And this is for, you know, they're 50% off. I might as well put them on. Okay. Now I do want the husks to come in here, right? I want them to path inside here. So I'm going to put those 3 walls down, all right? And the walls are over here, right? It's going to try to prevent them from taking a little shortcut behind the amplifier, right? Otherwise, they're going to have to do a U-turn over here, which is going to be a longer pathway, which is not going to take. Okay. And then we're going to path that, put that around here. All right. So I'm going to put 6 walls over here, 3 at the front, and then 3 in the behind. Next, I'm going to put this over here, right? This slant with this wall. Okay, that wall, these 2 walls, and this wall over here, because I'm also going to try to path them on this tile over here, right? So as you can see, there is a slant, right, with the wall, and then 2 walls over there, and a wall there. Okay. And this is so that when the mini boss comes on this tile, right, instead of trying to go under here, they'll go around, right, so that they will try to target this wall and go around here, but they'll get stuck. Okay, and that's pretty much the end goal of this. Right, so if you designed the amplifier like this, you should be good to go. All right. Now the one flaw about this amplifier design is that when you're coming in from the pit amplifier, right? So I have a pit amplifier over here, right? Which is going to be launching husks towards the south side over here and either into the lava, right, or down here. In my case, it's going to be down here, right? I don't want them to be launched into the lava just yet. Okay. Now, when they get launched down here, they're going to path under here and eventually meet up here, right? And they're going to start destroying structures, which we don't want them to start destroying structures, right? So what I do is make a little pathway for them just over here, right? Just over here. The flingers won't fling from here, which is good. And they can still path all the way back, right? So I need to have these 3 additional floors for the husks coming from the below to path back, all right? If you don't have this over here, some of these structures will be broken and the mini bosses will no longer be dancing. All right, so that's what we want over here. All right, once you have this kind of design, you should be good to go with the amplifier design. Okay. All right, so with that in mind, we can go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start layering it off, right? So I'm going to put walls over here. slants over here, walls over here, slants over here, walls over here, and then I'm going to put slants over here, and then we're going to start putting some flat floors over here, walls over here, slants over here, walls over here. So I'm going to do this wrap around like this. Okay. So this is pretty much the general, at least the general idea of how you should do the block off, right? Just wall, slant, wall, slant, wall, slant. Oh yeah, there's also flat floors. Yeah, there's pretty standard procedures on layering, right? Now I kind of cheated a little bit over here and actually removed this, right? And the reason I removed this is because it's so close to the actual pathing that I don't really need that layer. So I might as well go ahead and just use an anti-air trap there. Okay. Alright. So with that in mind, we can also carry on. So another thing to note is that we're going to have husk path over here, right? We're going to have path over here, but we do need extra layer on this side, right? So what I'm going to do is put walls around this in the pyramid with the little bit of wall spikes, right? And the wall spikes is just for husk phasing. I'm going to put them over here, and this is actually kind of copying Vixen's design, right? What she did, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy hers. Because, yeah, why not? So another thing to note as well. Let me still check. Yeah, it should be good. Now, if you put a flat floor over here, the laser boys often want to break on this because it seems like they just do. I don't know what the reason is, right? So don't do that. All right, so we have this, and then we're going to start pathing them over here. So I'm going to do the little walk. All right. And this is pretty much the end goal, right? To get them all the way over here, right? I'll even put a little healing pad over here, which is totally optional. You don't really need it, but you know, I like healing pads. All right, so that's pretty much the end goal over here. So I might as well put the walls over here, which is going to be all wall launchers. Now I'm going to do a little box in here and put a flat roof on here, right? And underneath is going to be a gas trap. And this is just for husk phasing that may happen, right? It's rare for it to happen, but it can happen. So this is just my go-to method on how I usually deal with it, right? Because this space is completely open, so I need to trap them inside here. The husk phasing usually happens with assassin husks and little husklings, right? Or the, what's it called? Just regular husks. So we have that over there. Now I'm going to add this wall over here. This will add a bit more crowd control. The pole over here is to make sure that they do get all the way over here on this tile. And then I'm going to put walls over here, right? And the walls over here are going to be wall launchers. Are going to be launched them into the lava, right? So it's going to be a chain launch from this tile over here, which will make this very strong. Okay, so we have that. I think we should be pretty much set like that. I'm going to add these slants over here as a guideline because I'm going to put floor launchers eventually over here. All right. I think except for the last tile, I won't put a floor launcher there. So we have this over here. And then I am going to just do this triangle piece. All right. Slant all the way across like this, and I'm just going to put a triangle piece over there. Now indicate, yep, I'm going to start doing my lava shield there. Oops. Uh-oh. Well, you know, unfortunate things do happen while building, so yeah, we'll accept that. Alright, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to continue building. Alright, so these walls over here, it's up to you exactly what kind of launchers you want to use, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm going to use. Alright, so first thing first, we need to slow down the husks, right? Slow down the husks, we use a wooden floor spike over here. Alright, now most of the husks are going to be coming from the west side, so they're going to experience the full tile of a slow. So it's pretty much guaranteed from over here that they're going to be slowed. Some husks will come in from the side over here on the middle, right? Some husks will come on the middle side. which will not experience the full tile over here, but it should be good enough for most situations. Alright. Now for the crowd control wall launcher, so I'm going to be using a single reload 5 times durability, right? And this is for lots of durability. I'm going to use them there, and I'm going to use them here as well, right? So the front launchers are going to have tons of durability. Alright. Now over here I have some other options I could do. I could do the full durability, or I could do like triple impact double reloaders, but I'm going to use more durability. This time I'm going to use double reloaders over here, and the reason I'm using double reloaders because the floor launchers are going to be single reloaders, right? Because I do need the knockback over here for this slant to work, right? So this slant, if it has no impact, it's not going to work. I need at least one impact for the slant to work, right? So this launcher, and this launcher are all going to have single reload, single impact, 4 times durability, right? So those are for these, right? So that these will work. And because these are going to be single reloads, the wall launchers over here are all going to be double reloaders, right? And it's up to you which double reloaders you want to use. In this case, for mine, I'm going to use the ones with higher durability at the beginning. And then I'm going to use the ones with the higher impact at the end. Right now, if this was a 4 times impact single reload, because if you could technically use the 4 times impact single reload in this case, right? But what ends up happening is that this might launch them way too far over here, right? Which I want to avoid doing. Okay, now these launchers will launch them over here, which then these can chain launch them into the pit down there, right? And it's up to you which ones you want to use, right? So for example, you could technically use these ones, right? 2 times impacts over here, right? You could use the 2 times impact, and this should be pretty decent to launch them into the pit, right? For me personally, I think I'm going to be using the double reloaders over here. I think I'm going to be using double reloaders. Double reloaders, 4 times durability, right? And the reason why is because there's going to be 2 launchers over here. There's going to be 2 launchers over here, which then they're going to have different reloads, right? So pretty much it's guaranteed that there's going to be some husks over here. And I think that little bit extra reload timer will make a difference, right? It's going to be like maybe 20% faster. I would have to do calculations, but it's probably like 20%. Alright, so that's pretty much what I have so far over here. At the very end, I firmly believe you do need a tar pit, right? And this would help a lot with the smasher. Okay. So that you only need this wall launcher or this wall launcher to get them into the pit, right, at the very end, or this one too, right? This one can get them to here, and then they start charging over here. And then what's really nice about the bridge build over in this area is that once you drop them to lava, you pretty much forget about them, all right? And as well, if the smasher is not in this area, you also have the north side, which then would forever recycle them, right? Which then you don't have to worry too much about smashers in here, so it's a win-win situation. At the front over here, I'm going to put 2 sand walls, and the reason for the sand walls is for this crack over here, right? So the crack over here, right? So this thing over here, which I'm taking damage from, this crack can damage the propanes too much, right, and start blowing up over here, right? Even though it's kind of rare, but it can happen. So I have sand walls just for that, right? Just in case, right? Not the best method, right? But it's decent enough. All right, and generally speaking, they want to go over to the middle when they do that, and it seems like they never want to go towards the south side when they do that. So I don't have any sound walls over here. Okay. So far so good. So far so good. All right. And now I am gonna go over and build this block off over here, right? And I'll do the lava shield at the very end, because a lava shield itself is subjective, in my opinion. Do whatever you want to do with it. Some people don't use lava shields, which is silly, but you know, that's my opinion. So we're gonna do a block off over here, right? So I'm gonna put the walls over here, right? Because I don't want the husks to come here. And then that's gonna be 2 layers. That's gonna be the 3 layers over here. Right, so I guess I'll do this over here. 3 layers, 4 layers over here, and then we finally have 5 layers as shown, like this. Right, and this is all the required layers you're gonna have over here, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's just enough. at the front over here, just in case there's a little mean husk that wants to get in there for whatever reason, I'm gonna use I guess the healing wall launchers over here. It should be sufficient. Alright, so far I haven't experienced a smasher want to beat on these yet with this 5 layering, so that is good. That is good. And then there's going to be this area over on the north side, right, which I do the little recycling. So I'm going to put walls all over here. Walls over here. So I think what I'm going to do is something like this. Right. Let me just, yep, something like this. Alright, and these are the walls I'm going to place down at the beginning. Alright, so as you can see in the picture, these are the walls I'm going to put down in the beginning. It's up to you exactly what kind of recycling system you want to use. But me personally, I do want a little bit more recycling than usual at the beginning before the smashers, even though this doesn't get much usage. Excuse me, it doesn't get much usage. So we have that. And I'm going to put these slants over here. 2 slants up there. Right? And the low half walls over here. Right? So that the smashers are pathing on the edge. And then I am going to put this over here. So this slant, this slant, this slant, and this slant. Right? So there's going to be 4 slants over here. I'm going to put in this for the floor launchers. Alright. But to be honest, there is probably ways that you could cheapen this, right? But it's up to you exactly what you want to do with it. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put down the traps, right? So the front over here, I'm going to put a wooden floor spike. And these 2, I'm going to use the 4 times impact single reloads. Alright, I'm going to do the full bang. And let's see, I think over here I might do triple impact double reloaders. So triple impact double reloaders over here, and put one over here. So at the end of the day, what I really want to ensure though is every single tile has at least 1 crowd control trap, right? So I'm gonna put a wall launcher here because it already has a floor launcher, so I didn't want to overwork it a bit, because what I'm trying to factor in is assassin husks that may want to hit on the walls for whatever reason, right, on that occasional time. So I do want to ensure that every single tile does have crowd control in some way, shape, or form. Okay. Alright, so with that in mind, we can move on. And I'm going to put the triple impact double reloaders over here. And I'm going to do wall lights. So what I'm going to do is craft the triple impact and double reloader wall lights. I'm going to craft 2 of them. Alright. Craft 2 of these, and I'm going to put them down. Which I guess I don't have many materials for, so I guess I'll craft whatever I have. And over here I'm going to put a tar pit. And over here I'm going to put a wooden floor spike. And the reason why I'm not using a tar pit over here, right, which I would love to do, right, but what I had in the past, not in this particular build, but in other builds, where when a smasher gets over here and a wall light activates, they seem to get staggered back into this tile instead of down into the down here. So, but you know, I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, and the tar pit over here works perfectly fine. But yeah, maybe someone else will test it out. Over here, triple impact double reloader, and then I'm gonna do this half floor, right? And this half floor again is just for letting less husks come over here, right? And even with factoring that in mind, right, you can probably cheapen this area up, right? You can probably cheapen it up. But I would have to do testing to ensure it is stable if I cheapen it up, because I don't want any smasher to come up here, right? And I'm gonna start putting down some anti-airs. Right, so anti-air there, all the way across. Eventually come down here. Alright, so this is the pathway of the anti-airs that they're going to walk across, right? But they'll never reach it, right? At least from my experience, they seem to never come here, right? But I do need to have a pathway here. Okay. Well, with that in mind, I can go ahead and start doing the lobber shield. And a lobber shield, how am I going to design it? It shouldn't be too complex, but I'll try to get you a good start. So first, I'm going to put down these 3 walls, right? You see these 3 walls over here? 1, 2, 3. Make sure you have these 3 walls with the triangle piece over here, and this will help you get started on the lobber shield. Okay. And next, what I'm going to do is slant this all the way across. Starting from here, slant this all the way across as shown. Just copy like this. Slant this like this. And let's go straight across over here, right? And we're going to skip this last one. Let me come up here. And yep, so pretty much exactly like this. And then we're going to do one more, right? We're going to do one more. Slant this all the way across over here. And I'm going to do this slant like this. Alright, and then stop here. Alright, and we have a design like this. So stop over there at that corner. And from here on out, it's actually up to you exactly how you want to design it, right? Now, I designed it, I can show you over here. I designed it with these 3 flat floors. And the reason why I'm using the 3 flat floors over here, even though it won't cover as much lobber shield, but I do want to have these anti-airs. Right, so I want to put the anti-airs there while still having a lobber shield, right? You could alternately put anti-airs over here, right, instead. And then just slant it up from the lobber shield. But I did want my lobber shield to incorporate the anti-airs here so it would be cheaper. Alright, and then I cover it like this. From these 3 slots over here, I put this over here. And that's the lobber shield design. As you can see, that is the lobber shield design. Okay. And it should be pretty much good to go over there. Okay. There's one more important thing to note as well. You do need this blocked. No matter what, you need to have this area blocked, because there is a flinger pathing that would path all the way around there. So make sure you have that. And there's also one more thing over here, which is going to be this, right? So we need to have 2 layers over here. Now, from my testing, I'm not 100% certain that you do need this, 100%. Right, but I always had this here. I think I might remove 1 layer for testing purposes, just to see if it will still work fine, right? But again, this is for testing purposes. I always had the 2 layers there. Okay, so I'm gonna have to test it out and see if I can remove it. And I think one more thing I'm gonna add is a anti-air on top here, right? Because underneath is a gas trap, and I'm gonna put it on top. Alright, so we have successfully built the amplifier over here, so I'm going to go ahead and upgrade it fully. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have successfully upgraded everything to tier 3. Now, one thing to note, I did miss a couple spots I was looking over, right? So I'm going to go ahead and address those, right? Again, this spot over here, I have 2 layers, right? But for testing purposes, I'm going to see if I can remove 1 layer, because, you know, every layer counts. Now, I did miss the spot over here, right? So I do need to have an additional layer over here as shown, right? So this because for some reason AI, it seems like they can actually path on here, right? So I could need to layer that like that. Okay, so make sure you go ahead and layer this area over here, and this should add 3 additional layers. Okay, and I'm gonna need to add 1 additional layer over here. Okay? So I'm going to add 1 additional layer over here as shown. And that should conclude the build, right? So add 1 additional layer there. And we're going to add the 3 additional layers over here. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back 6 days later after recording, which I know is a very long time, but I've been doing other things while testing as well, right? So my playtime has actually been cut in half in relative to before. Not because I don't like building or don't like Fortnite, but you know, just I've been also doing other things as well. So, but however, I did a lot of testing for the 6 days, which is like, I'd say about 12 runs or so. And I say overall it's been pretty good. So this build has been exactly as you see, the way it was. I actually do need the 2 layers over here, so I'm going to put that layer back. This over here, so I'm going to do a full, just like a full pathway, just like before, right? But I'm not use any half floor. So it's just a full pathway with the anti-airs all the way through. Right, and pretty much exactly the same as before. I think the only change I might have done is change these wall launchers to the high durability, and these ones to the high durability as well. I think that's the only thing I changed. These are kind of like optional changes. This I changed to wall light, optional change. You know, it doesn't really matter too much. Yeah. Another thing I'm going to note too as a change on the bridge is I removed the walls over here. So previously I used to have walls. I just simply removed those over here and replaced that with the wall over here, so they won't be coming from behind, and then they will go all the way over here. The bosses will go over here. If they teleport, right, if the bosses teleport from the north side, then they would teleport under here, which then they would proceed to walk all the way up. Then they'll path towards the southwest, right, and then they'll start dancing just as if they were coming in from the south side. All right, so there's no big deal over there. So they're guaranteed to dance on either the north or south side. Now, of course, for wave 30, because there's multiple bosses, make sure you just poke them in, right? Because you're not going to be AFK, so you might as well just poke them in to risk any possible damage to there with this possibly volcanic plus damage pulse or the double building blockers. You never know. All right, but yeah, that's overall this changes over here on the bridge since my 6 days of recording. Now another thing I want to note as well for the pit, right, because I did a change in the pit, and I think it's a very important change I should talk about in comparison to the last video, right? So this one's double wall spikes in the front and back, right? And because I do notice that the wall launchers don't really do much, so I did that and it seems to be working better. And another thing too is that if you're trying to do the mini boss dancing, it actually is a longer pathway. Because you're creating a longer pathway for the husks, the smashers may end up wanting to break this block off because there's not sufficient layers. So I actually had to remove the dancing mini boss setup for the pit amplifier and instead just have tons of structures building all around here, right? I might even add more structures, to be honest, but this is what I have so far. It's been working really good. So there's tons of structures over here. I could even possibly put some structures over here maybe, but yeah, that's been working really well. And no issues so far because of that. If you're going to make the pathway longer, I don't recommend using my build in particular because of the extreme amount of greed required to path the husks all the way over towards 8 tiles towards the south and 1 tile up. Alright, so that is one thing I want to mention for the pit amplifier before we conclude the video. Alright, but yeah, overall it's been pretty much really good for all my builds and I'm really quite pleased. Alright, now I think the next video I might either do the beach amplifier because I did change the design on the east side, right, which is not too much of a big deal, and or the bridge amplifier, right, because the bridge amplifier I did do this change over here using the 3 wall launchers and it's been pretty good, right? I just had to completely verify that the mini boss over here when going over here will be dancing, right? It'll be dancing, and if they do a teleport, then they might teleport into here, which they could actually walk all the way around and then start looping, right? So those are a couple things I wanted to verify to ensure that the ridge amplifier over here is more stable. So I might actually do the beach just to verify the mini boss stability on the ridge. But yeah, that'll be it for this video. So enjoy, and as always, have fun building.